Grand Old Partisan celebrates more than 16 decades of Republican heroes and heroics. Today I commend the Republican Party for defeating Democrat attempts to reimpose slavery decades after emancipation. Thousands of African Americans were held at camps, often being worked to death. They were chained and whipped, and any escapee was hunted down by bloodhounds. Captives labored at the most grueling and dangerous conditions for no pay, to enrich their plantation masters. The evil scheme went like this. A landowner looking for slaves bribed a sheriff to arrest African Americans on petty charges. A bondsman, also on the take, would trick them into signing labor contracts in lieu of going to prison. Each victim was then taken to isolated work camps until the debt was paid. In practice, a life sentence. In 1903, U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Alabama was Warren Reese, appointed by President William McKinley. He went on to be delegate at the 1904 Republican National Convention. He wrote to Judge Thomas Jones, quote, "I have lived in this state my entire life of 37 years, and I never comprehended until now the extent of the current method of slavery through this peonage system." Jones had been appointed to the federal bench by President Theodore Roosevelt on recommendation of Booker T. Washington. At his request, U.S. Attorney General Philander Knox sent agents to investigate. May 27, 1903, a grand jury convened by the conscientious judge indicted the worst offender, a wealthy cotton farmer. 9 others were also indicted. Most pled guilty when Jones instructed the first jury that holding someone for debt, which they had clearly done, was illegal. Page 104 of Back to Basics for the Republican Party explains that forced labor for debt, or peonage, had been outlawed during the Civil War by the GOP-controlled 37th Congress. Though relentless conducting the cases, his objective was to stop this involuntary servitude rather than exact severe punishment for the handful out of hundreds who had been caught at it. Sentences were just a year and a day, and within months, Jones asked President Roosevelt to pardon them. Quote, "The law has been thoroughly vindicated, and the evil against which it was directed in these communities has been completely crushed. Connivance with the abuses of corrupt magistrates in that locality, in the exercise of the power to hire out offenders for payments of fines and costs on conviction for small and often sham offenses, in order to reap profit for the hirer, has been thoroughly exposed and broken up. It has met the hearty reprobation of the great mass of the people in all walks of life." The pardons were granted. Nevertheless, as explained on 142 of Back to Basics for the Republican Party, debt slavery remained prevalent in some areas of the South. Roosevelt asked Knox for a report on the situation and was told there would be, quote, "vigorous and uncompromising prosecutions." In November, a federal grand jury indicted a Georgia Democrat state legislator and 7 others for enslaving workers on their plantations. Presiding over the case was Judge Emory Speer, nominated by Chester Arthur. Following year, the president wrote of being, quote, "appalled at some of the revelations as to peonage in Mississippi." Back to Basics for the Republican Party is my civil rights history of the GOP. To quote the book, "The more we Republicans know about the history of our party, the more the Democrats will worry about the future of theirs." For more information, see GrandOldPartisan.com.